The text arrived during a client meeting, lighting up my phone with its silent accusation. I tried to focus on the marketing pitch, but my eyes kept drifting to the screen, to that single photo that threatened everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Alara, your thoughts on the campaign direction? Marcus, our creative director, was staring at me expectantly.
Sorry, yes.
The concept is solid, but we need stronger visuals for the third quarter push. I gripped my pen tighter, forcing myself to stay present. The image wouldn't leave my mind. Alden and Marlowe, his arm around her waist, her head tilted up toward him with that familiar, adoring look I used to see directed at me. The caption beneath it was worse. Family secrets. After the meeting, I locked myself in my office and finally allowed myself to really look at the photo. They were standing outside some cafe I didn't recognize, caught in what could be an innocent moment between siblings. But something in their body language, the intimacy of their stance, made my stomach turn.
My phone buzzed again.
Alden. Hey, running late tonight. Marlowe needs help with some insurance paperwork for Derek's estate. Of course she did. Ever since her husband's death 6 months ago, Marlowe had needed help with everything. No problem, I replied, keeping it light. When should I expect you? Not sure. Don't wait up. I stared at the message, remembering all the late nights over the past months, all the times I'd woken up to an empty bed. The excuses had seemed reasonable. Marlowe was grieving, struggling with 2 young kids, drowning in paperwork. She needed her brother.
But now.
My office door opened, and Iris poked her head in. Lunch? You look like you could use a break. She must have read something in my expression because she stepped inside and closed the door. What's wrong? I handed her my phone, watched her face as she studied the photo. Who sent this? Anonymous number, blocked when I tried to call back. It could be nothing, Iris said carefully. They're siblings. Look at his hand on her waist. Look at how she's looking at him. The words came out sharper than I intended. That's not how siblings look at each other. Have you talked to Alden? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. He's with her right now. Insurance paperwork, apparently. Iris set the phone down and leaned forward. Then go home early. Surprise them. See what's really going on. The suggestion sent a jolt through me. It was so simple, so obvious, and yet the thought of what I might find made me hesitate. What if? What if nothing? You need to know, Alara. This isn't going away. She was right. I gathered my things, made an excuse about a migraine to my team, and left the office. The drive home felt surreal, like I was watching someone else navigate through traffic, someone else's hands gripping the steering wheel too tightly. Our house came into view, the perfect colonial we'd bought 3 years ago, with its manicured lawn and welcoming front porch. Alden's car wasn't in the driveway, but Marlowe's silver SUV was parked on the street. I sat there for a moment, engine idling, watching the house where my life was supposed to be perfect. Then my phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. They're at the Blue Door Cafe. Thought you should know. I put the car in drive, my decision made. Sometimes knowing the truth is better than living with doubt, even if that truth destroys everything you thought you knew about love and family. The Blue Door Cafe wasn't what I expected. No dim lighting or secluded corners, just a bright, airy space filled with afternoon sunlight. I spotted them immediately through the window, sitting at a corner table. Nothing inappropriate, just 2 people talking over coffee. But then Marlowe reached across and squeezed Alden's hand, and my world tilted sideways. My phone buzzed. Cora Winslow's name flashed on the screen. Alara, dear. We're coming for dinner tonight. Alden mentioned Marlowe's moving in with you both, and we want to help get everything settled. I watched through the window as Alden wiped something from Marlowe's cheek with his thumb. Tonight's not great, Cora. I have a work emergency. Nonsense. Family comes first. We'll be there at 6. The line went dead before I could protest. I gripped the steering wheel, fighting the urge to storm into the cafe. Instead, I drove home, my mind racing with possibilities of what to do next. 3 hours later, our dining room had become a war room. Cora orchestrated the chaos, directing movers with Marlowe's furniture while Everett and Alden assembled a bunk bed upstairs for Marlowe's kids. The guest room's perfect for them, Marlowe said, arranging photos on the mantel. All Winslow family pictures, none including me. It's so generous of you both. I stood in my own living room, feeling like an intruder. When exactly was this decided? Oh, Alden didn't tell you? Marlowe's eyes widened with practiced innocence. He said you discussed it last week. Must have slipped his mind. I forced a smile, noting how she'd already changed into comfortable clothes, like she belonged here. Cora swept in, carrying a casserole. Alara, dear, could you set the table? Marlowe needs to rest. She's had such a difficult time lately. I bit back a response and headed to the kitchen. Through the doorway, I could hear them talking. She's taking it harder than expected, Marlowe whispered. She'll adjust, Cora replied. Family has to stick together in times like these. I slammed the drawer shut harder than necessary, making them jump. Dinner's ready. I called up the stairs, my voice eerily calm. During dinner, I watched them all, the way they passed dishes, finished each other's sentences, shared inside jokes. A perfect family portrait, with me sitting just outside the frame. We should discuss the sleeping arrangements, Cora announced. The kids will need structure. Actually, I cut in. I thought we should discuss how long this arrangement will last. The table went silent. Alden shot me a warning look. Alara, he said quietly, we talked about this.
Did we?
Because I remember a very different conversation about helping Marlowe find her own place. Marlowe's lower lip trembled. I can look for apartments tomorrow. No, you won't, Cora interjected. This is your home now. Isn't it, Alden? I watched my husband's face, waiting for him to defend our marriage, our space, our life together. Instead, he reached for Marlowe's hand. Of course it is. As long as you need. Later, after everyone had gone to bed, I found Alden in his study. You never asked me, I said. You just decided. They're my family, Alara. What was I supposed to do? And what am I? He wouldn't meet my eyes. It's temporary. Just until she gets back on her feet. I thought about the cafe, about the photos on the mantel, about all the little ways I was being erased from my own home. How long have you been making decisions without me? He finally looked up, and for a moment, I saw something flicker across his face. Guilt, maybe, or fear. But then Marlowe's voice called from upstairs. Alden, the kids are asking for you, and whatever moment of truth we might have had vanished as he hurried to answer her call. The bank statement arrived on a Tuesday, buried under a pile of junk mail. I almost missed it, but the bold red, alert, balance below minimum caught my eye. Scanning the transactions, my coffee grew cold beside me as the numbers told their own story. 5 transfers to an account I didn't recognize. Each one for exactly $5,000. Morning. Marlowe breezed into the kitchen wearing my favorite silk robe, the one Alden had given me for our anniversary. Is there coffee left? I slid the statement into my laptop bag. Help yourself. Nice robe. Oh, Alden said I could borrow it. You don't mind, do you? She poured herself coffee in my mother's old mug, the last thing I had of hers. The front door opened, and Alden walked in from his morning run. Hey, you're both up early. He kissed Marlowe's cheek first, then mine, like an afterthought. We need to talk, I said. About the accounts. His expression shifted, almost imperceptibly. Can it wait? I have an early meeting. $25,000, Alden. Were you planning to mention it? Marlowe quietly slipped out of the kitchen, taking my mother's mug with her. It's temporary, he said, not meeting my eyes. Marlowe needed help with Derek's medical bills, and the insurance hasn't come through yet. Our savings, Alden. Our future. You didn't even discuss it with me. Because you would have said no. His voice rose. She's family. She needed help. And what am I? The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Upstairs, I could hear Marlowe's kids laughing, the sound of their footsteps on what used to be my home office floor. I'll pay it back, he finally said. Once everything settled. My phone buzzed. Another anonymous text. Check account ending in 4891. It's not just medical bills. What else aren't you telling me? I showed him the text. His face drained of color. Someone's trying to cause trouble. You shouldn't listen to. Then show me. I held out my hand. Show me your phone. Prove there's nothing else. He took a step back, clutching his phone tighter. I don't have to prove anything. This is my family we're talking about. And our marriage? What are we talking about there? Before he could answer, Marlo appeared in the doorway, wearing a new designer dress I'd never seen before. Alden, we're going to be late for the appointment. What appointment? I asked. Just helping her look at some properties, he said quickly.
Too quickly.
In a dress that probably cost more than our mortgage payment. Marlo's face flushed. It was a gift. From Alden. To help me feel better after. Everything. The room spun slightly. I steadied myself against the counter, remembering all the times I'd asked Alden about our dwindling savings. All his vague explanations about market fluctuations and temporary setbacks. I have to go, he said, already backing away. We'll talk tonight. Will we? Or will Marlo need something else that's more important? He paused at the door, and for a moment, I saw uncertainty flicker across his face. Then Marlo touched his arm, and whatever he might have said disappeared into the morning air as they left together. I sat down at the kitchen table, surrounded by the remnants of what used to be my life, my home, my savings, my marriage. The anonymous texter had been right about everything so far. What else would they reveal? My fingers hovered over the phone, ready to reply to the unknown number. Sometimes I thought the real betrayal isn't in the secrets they keep, but in the truth they force you to face. I typed, "Tell me everything." The response from my anonymous informant came with attachments, bank statements, text messages, photos. Each one a nail in the coffin of my marriage. I stared at my laptop screen in my office, trying to make sense of it all, when Marcus knocked on my door. The Henderson pitch is starting. He paused, noticing my expression. Everything okay? I closed the laptop.
Fine.
Just family stuff. Family stuff doesn't usually make people look like they've seen a ghost. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with Cora's name. I let it go to voicemail, but she called again immediately. You need to come home, she said when I finally answered. Marlo's having a crisis, and Alden says you're not being supportive enough. I caught my reflection in the office window. Pale, drawn, unrecognizable. I'm at work, Cora. Some of us still have jobs to maintain. That's exactly the kind of attitude I'm talking about. Family comes first, does it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like only certain family members matter. The silence on her end was telling. Finally, she said, "We're having a family meeting tonight. Don't disappoint Alden again." I walked into the pitch meeting late, my mind spinning with numbers from the bank statements. A joint account I never knew about. Regular transfers dating back months before Derek's death. A lease agreement with both their names on it. Alara? Marcus was staring at me expectantly. The campaign strategy? I opened my mouth to respond, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I stood up abruptly. I need to handle something. Personal emergency. The drive home felt surreal. The house was full when I arrived, Cora arranging flowers in the kitchen, Everett watching TV with Marlo's kids. Marlo herself curled up on my spot on the couch. No Alden. Where is he? I asked. Marlo looked up, her eyes red. He's picking up dinner. I had another panic attack, and he's been so wonderful. Stop. My voice was quiet but firm. Just stop. Cora appeared in the doorway. Alara, really. Show some compassion. I pulled out my phone and opened the photos I'd received. Like the compassion they showed when they signed a lease together 3 months ago. The room went silent. Marlo's face drained of color. I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered, but her hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. The apartment on Cedar Street. The joint account. The transfers that started long before Derek died. Each word fell like a stone between us. Want to explain that compassion to me? Cora moved to stand between us. Whatever you think you know. The front door opened, and Alden walked in carrying takeout bags. He froze when he saw my expression, the phone in my hand. We need to talk, I said. Not now, he replied quickly. Marlo needs. Marlo always needs something, doesn't she? And you're always there to provide it. With our money, our future. He set the bags down slowly. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Explain the apartment. Explain why you've been lying to me for months. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Marlo made a small, choked sound and fled upstairs. Cora followed, shooting me a venomous look. Alden's face hardened. You're making assumptions. No. I cut him off. I'm finally seeing clearly. The question is, what happens now? He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something like fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing me, I realized, but fear of what I might do with the truth. We should discuss this privately, he said quietly. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Nothing in this house has been private since she moved in. Why start now? The restaurant buzzed with celebration as waiters brought out Marlo's birthday cake. I watched from my seat, numb, as Alden stood to make his speech. My wine glass was empty again, third time tonight. To my amazing sister, he raised his glass, who deserves every happiness. Which is why. He pulled out a small box, wrapped in silver paper. This is just a small token of our love. Our savings. Our life together, dissolving like sugar in bitter coffee. Marlo's squeal of delight as she opened the box made heads turn at nearby tables. Inside lay a key fob with a familiar logo. You didn't, she gasped. It's parked outside. Alden beamed. The SUV you've been eyeing. Safe for the kids. Perfect for your new start. Cora wiped away tears. So thoughtful, darling. Isn't it wonderful, Elara? I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Wonderful? Is that what we're calling it? Elara, Alden warned quietly. Not here. Why not here? Everyone else seems to know our financial situations better than I do. I turned to Marlo. Did you know that car cost more than what's left in our savings? The savings your brother's been draining for months. The restaurant grew quieter. Everett cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss this at home. Like we discussed the apartment lease? Or the joint account? My voice was steady, surprising even me. Or should we talk about the real reason Derek's life insurance hasn't paid out yet? Marlo's face went white. Alden stepped toward me, but I held up my hand. Don't pretend you're protecting me anymore. You're making a scene, Cora hissed. Think of the family. Family? I laughed, the sound sharp and foreign. Let me tell you about family. Family doesn't drain their brother's marriage dry. Family doesn't manipulate and lie and… That's enough. Alden's fist hit the table, making the glasses jump. You're drunk. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I said quietly. You've done that for me quite thoroughly. I reached into my purse and pulled out the stack of bank statements, letting them fall across the cake. Happy birthday, Marlo. Hope the car was worth it. As I walked toward the door, I heard Marlo start to cry, those perfect, practiced sobs that always brought Alden running. But this time, I heard footsteps behind me. Where are you going? Alden grabbed my arm. I jerked away. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. You're overreacting. If you'd just let me explain. Explain what? How you've been planning this for months. How you and Marlo. She needed help. After everything with Derek. Derek's insurance claim was denied because of suspicious circumstances. I cut in. Did you know that? Did you help her with that too? His face changed, just for a second, but it was enough. In that moment, I saw everything I needed to know. Elara, please. He reached for me again. Come home. We can talk about this. Home. I stepped back. That house stopped being my home the moment you chose her over me. Over us. Through the restaurant window, I could see Marlo being consoled by Cora, both of them shooting glances my way. The perfect victims in their perfect family drama. My phone buzzed, another message from my anonymous informant. There's more. When you're ready to know everything. I looked back at Alden, standing there with his hand still outstretched, and realized something. Sometimes revenge isn't about making others hurt. It's about finally allowing yourself to walk away. Goodbye, Alden, I said, and stepped into the night air, leaving behind the remains of a birthday cake and a marriage built on lies. Iris's spare bedroom felt like a confessional in the pre-dawn hours. I sat cross-legged on the bed, scrolling through the latest messages from my anonymous informant. Police reports. Insurance investigations. Derek's death wasn't the tragic accident everyone believed. My phone lit up with Alden's 20th call of the night. I silenced it, but not before seeing his text. Don't do anything stupid. Please. Too late for that. I'd already contacted Derek's insurance investigator. Iris appeared in the doorway with coffee. You look like hell. Thanks. I took the mug, avoiding her concerned gaze. Did you know there was a life insurance policy on me too? She sat down heavily on the edge of the bed. What? Taken out 6 months ago. Alden's the beneficiary. I showed her the document on my laptop, right around the time Marlo started spending more time at our house. That doesn't mean. Derek's brake lines were tampered with, Iris. The police report was buried, but it's there. The silence stretched between us, broken only by another buzz from my phone. This time it was Marlo. Please come home. We can explain everything. Iris read the message over my shoulder. Maybe you should hear them out.
Why?
So they can spin more lies. I stood up, pacing the small room. I've already contacted a lawyer. She's meeting me this morning. Alara. A sharp knock at the front door cut her off. Through the window, I saw Cora's car in the driveway. Don't answer it, I whispered. But Cora's voice carried through the door. Alara, we know you're there. This has gone far enough. Iris squeezed my hand and went to answer. I heard their voices in the hallway, getting closer. She's being ridiculous, Cora was saying. These wild accusations. Are they wild? I stepped into the hallway. The apartment lease? The drained accounts? The life insurance policies? Cora's face hardened. You don't understand our family. No, I understood too late. That's different. Marlo needs protection. After what happened with Derek. What had happened with Derek, Cora? Because the police report suggests it wasn't an accident. The color drained from her face. For the first time, I saw fear replace her usual certainty. You need to stop this investigation, she said quietly. For everyone's sake. Or what? She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Or these photos of you and Marcus from the Henderson account meeting go to the board of directors. My stomach dropped. The photos were innocent, just us working late, but framed exactly wrong. Career-destroying wrong. You're blackmailing me? I'm protecting my family. She set the envelope on the side table. Come home. Stop the investigation. Or tomorrow, these go public. After she left, Iris picked up the envelope. We can explain these. Can we? In this industry? With these clients? I sank against the wall. They've thought of everything. My phone buzzed again, the anonymous informant. Time running out. Meet me at Riverside Park, 1 p.m. You'll want to hear this. Don't go, Iris said. It's not worth it. But I was already grabbing my keys. Because here's the thing about hitting bottom. Sometimes you find there's another level lower, waiting to show you just how far you can fall. I have to know, I told her. Even if it destroys me. And if it does? I thought about Alden's betrayal, Marlo's manipulation, Cora's threats. Then at least I'll go down knowing the truth. And maybe, I touched the police report on my laptop. Maybe I can get justice for Derek too. Sometimes revenge isn't about winning. Sometimes it's about being willing to lose everything to expose the truth. Riverside Park was empty except for a familiar figure on a bench, Marlo, alone, clutching a manila envelope. No anonymous informant, just another manipulation. I almost turned around, but she called out, Derek knew. Those 2 words stopped me cold. I approached slowly, keeping distance between us. Knew what? About Alden and me. About everything. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. He was going to expose us. So you killed him? No. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I loved Derek. But Alden couldn't let him ruin everything. The world tilted sideways. What are you saying? I didn't know what he was planning. I swear. She pulled out a stack of papers. Derek left these for me. Insurance documents, bank records, everything. He knew Alden was embezzling from his company, using my accounts to hide the money. A jogger passed by, reminding me we were in public. Why tell me this now? Because Alden's planning the same thing for you. She handed me the papers. The life insurance policy, the fake photos with your coworker. He's going to destroy you, just like he destroyed Derek. And you're just now growing a conscience? I'm scared, Alara. Her voice cracked. For my kids. For myself. Alden's not who I thought he was. Who any of us thought he was. Footsteps crunched on gravel behind us. We both turned to see Alden approaching, his face a mask of controlled rage. I should have known you'd crack, he said to Marlo. You always were the weak link. It's over, Alden, I said, standing. I'm taking these to the police. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. With what proof? A grieving widow's desperate stories? Photos that could easily be explained as a sister seeking comfort from her brother. Derek's evidence is circumstantial at best. And who will believe you after those photos of you and Marcus go public? Your career will be ruined. Your reputation destroyed. Like you destroyed Derek? His smile faltered. Derek was an accident. Was it? Marlo stood, her voice stronger now. Tell that to the mechanic who saw you the day before. Alden's composure cracked. You followed me? I followed Derek's instructions. She pulled out her phone, played a video. Alden's voice filled the air, arguing with Derek about missing money, making threats. You recorded everything, I whispered. Delete it. Alden stepped forward, reaching for the phone.
Now.
It's already with my lawyer, I said. And the insurance investigators. They're reopening Derek's case. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your email. The investigator should have contacted you by now. He pulled out his phone, his face draining of color as he read. When he looked up, the controlled mask was gone, replaced by something darker. I did everything for this family, he snarled. Everything. And you both betray me like this. No, Alden, I said quietly. You betrayed us. All of us. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Marlo's hand found mine, squeezing tight. They're coming for you, she told her brother. It's over. Alden looked between us, his perfect world crumbling. You'll regret this, he said, but his voice shook. Both of you. As the police cars pulled up, I watched my husband raise his hands in surrender. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about refusing to let them destroy you. Marlo turned to me, her eyes full of tears and determination. I'm sorry. For everything. I know, I said, watching Alden being handcuffed. So am I. 6 months after Alden's arrest, I stood in our old house one last time, packing the last boxes before the sale closed. Sunlight streamed through windows that no longer held family photos, casting shadows across empty walls that once witnessed so many lies. My phone buzzed, a text from Marlo. Coffee? The kids miss their Aunt Alara. These monthly meetings had become our way of healing, of understanding. Not forgiveness exactly, but something closer to acceptance. I typed back. Usual place noon? The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Cora standing there, looking older than I remembered. The realtor said you'd be here today, she said softly. May I come in? I stepped aside, watching her take in the empty rooms. She touched the wall where Marlo's photos once hung, where my life had begun to unravel. Alden wants to see you, she said finally. Before the sentencing. I know. He's written letters. Have you read them?
No.
I closed a box, sealing it with tape. Some things are better left unsaid. She pulled an envelope from her purse. He confessed everything. About Derek, the money, all of it. He's accepting a plea deal. That doesn't change anything. No, she agreed, surprising me. But maybe this will. She handed me the envelope. Marlo showed us the truth. About how we enabled him, how we chose not to see. Inside was a cashier's check, the exact amount Alden had taken from our savings. I don't want your money. It's not ours. It's Derek's life insurance payout. It belongs to his children. Her voice cracked.
We were so wrong, Ilera.
About everything. The front door opened again, and Marlo stepped in with her kids. They ran to me, hugging my legs, while she hung back uncertainly. Mom, she said to Cora, I didn't know you'd be here. I'm leaving. Cora moved toward the door, then paused. I'm sorry, Ilera, for not being the family you deserved. After she left, Marlo helped me load the last boxes into my car. The kids played in the empty living room, their laughter echoing off bare walls. I got a job offer, she said. In Seattle. A fresh start. That's good. I meant it. The kids will love it there. What about you? What's next? I looked at the house that had held so many versions of myself. Wife, daughter-in-law, victim, survivor. I'm staying. This is my home, my city. I won't let what happened change that. And Alden's request? Will you see him? I thought about his letters, still unopened in my desk, about revenge and justice, and how sometimes they look different than you expect. Some wounds don't need closure, I said. They just need time to heal. She nodded, understanding in her eyes. Thank you for helping me find my strength, for showing me another way. The kids came running out, asking about ice cream. We laughed, a genuine sound that felt like victory. Later, alone in my new apartment, I finally opened one of Alden's letters. His words spilled across the page. Explanations, apologies, pleas for understanding. But what caught my eye was the last line. I thought I was protecting everyone, but in the end, you were the only one strong enough to save us all. I folded the letter and watched the sunset paint the city gold. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying what hurt you, but in rebuilding something stronger from the ruins. Sometimes justice looks like moving forward while letting the past fade into shadow. My phone buzzed again, another text from Marlo. Thank you for showing me what real family looks like. I smiled, thinking of ice cream with her kids, of healing wounds and new beginnings. Some family ties are chosen, forged in truth rather than blood. Those are the ones that last.